The Shark Deck.
Hello, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Pete Davidson hosted SNL last night. I'll recap that tomorrow. He was on Jimmy Fallon last week, and Pete says he has between 3,000 to 5,000 sealed VHS tapes that he hopes one day he'll sell for a massive profit. Pete said, I started collecting VHSs that were sealed in the box like 3 years ago because I was really high one night. So the plan is in 2026, it'll be 20 years since the last VHS was made, right? So 20 years goes by. That's enough time for people to be like, oh, that was cool, remember? Like vinyl. So I bought all the sealed ones that exist, like 3,000 to 5,000 tapes. As of a month ago, sealed VHSs are going for 20 to 30 grand a pop. Rocky just sold for $27,000. It's my GameStop. I own all of them. Dude, no one believed in me. It's going to happen, you guys. Jimmy Fallon said, it's a disaster. And Pete said, if it doesn't work, I'm going to be on the road forever. He talked about when he first got SNL, and he told his mother, I'm going to be on SNL, Mom. Holy crap, like, wow. And she was like, well, just so you know, the garbage bin test is at the end of the month, just in case. So until 3 years ago, she would ask me to take the garbage bin test. How did Pete find out he'd be hosting last night? He said, I got a classic Lorne Michaels text. He texted, there's a rumor going around you're the host for the premiere. And he goes, I guess it's true because I started it. Chris Stefano spoke with GQ about his choice not to be on social media and said, one of my friends told me I should stop saying on podcasts that I don't run my social media because fans want to feel like they can communicate with you. And I said, absolutely not. I'm so against people being on social media that I would feel like a fraud telling them to go on and talk to me if I'm not on it. Everything you see on my social media has my approval, or it's my video that I send to my social media guy. My friends will ask how I gave someone else my passwords, but I just give it to someone else the keys because it's so bad for me. GQ said, I heard your podcast with Colin Quinn and he made fun of you because wanting to host SNL is your dream. If they reached out and asked you to host, who would you tell first? Chris Stefano said, my mom. She's a humongous SNL fan. She's like the person that knows the random actress who won a Golden Globe in 1981. She loves Hollywood. She'd be the first person I'd tell because my daughters wouldn't know what the hell I'm talking about and Jasmine wouldn't care. Well, she would care, but it would just mean as much to her as it would to my mom. Hosting SNL is another thing I would say is on my bucket list of dreams. And by the way, we've got Radio City sold out. If we sell out the theater at Madison Square Garden, if we sell out those two, then the hope is to get the big Madison Square Garden. Amy Poehler was on David Spade and Dana Carvey's podcast, and she said, I learned a lot from Will Ferrell because I'd watch him perform and he had this mischievous quality where he and the audience were in on it together. The confident wink to the audience is crucial because the minute they see you sweat, it gets so stressful. If you don't look like you're relaxed or having fun, the audience gets very stressed. Matt Rife spoke at the 2023 Forbes 30 Under 30 Summit in Cleveland, Ohio. Hey, Matt Rife's living the life, good-looking guy. Everybody wants to be Matt Rife, but in terms of coolness, hey guys, I'm going to the 2023 Forbes 30 Under 30 Summit in Cleveland. Not the coolest look, says the guy in his basement wearing flannel and sweatpants. Rife shared some advice he got from Dave Chappelle. Dave said, make sure you're still making time to live your life, because that's where material comes from. Rife said, July of last year, I was really contemplating quitting comedy, moving back to Ohio and getting a normal job. He also discussed being compared to Dane Cook. That's somebody who reached the pinnacle of success in comedy, right? So think about how many people loved him. Think about how many people hate him. So it's like as much as so many people like me right now, so many people hate me as well. Don't worry about the things you do that people don't like. Focus on the things you do that people do like and make more of that stuff for them because those are the people who bless you with a career. That is well said. Now, hopefully by now you took my advice and listened to Marc Maron's interview with Tom Papa. It is fantastic. If you haven't, just hit stop on this right now and go listen to that. And then you can come back and then you'll be like, yeah, I just heard what you're about to tell me, Johnny Mac. Marc Maron climbed up on Old Man Mountain and found a chair next to me on the bench and said, what the F are these 18-year-olds watching? Let's talk like old men. I don't understand. I can't even get involved with TikTok comedy enough to hate it. At that point, I high-fived Marc Maron in my hypothetical imagination. We were on a bench on Old Man Mountain together. Maron said to Papa in real life, I don't know who they are. I don't know who that guy Matt is. What's his name? It's big. He's the big guy. Matt Rife. Oh, Matt Rife. Yeah. And I watched 5 minutes of him doing some sort of rapid-fire crowd work. And I'm like, all right, I don't get it. And this comes back to this thing that used to annoy me. But there's nothing that can be done about it. But it's when you and I, Tom Papa, got into it. There weren't even bringer shows except at Stand Up New York. And we thought it was weird. It's like you go, you do the open mics, you figure it out, you get the 10-minute spot. It was totally comedy club dependent. We had a goal in mind, which was to be great. I don't dislike Matt Rife's comedy. I think it's pretty fun, but I do have a seat on the bench on Old Man Mountain next to Maron for sure. The LA Times wrote about comedians being political. James Fritz said, I don't know what it means to be a political comedian. I do political jokes, I do drinking jokes, I do relationship jokes, I do jokes about my family, but the sooner you realize that in this country everything's political, the saner you'll be. I think if you set out to be political, it comes across as false. You don't have to look for the politics. Sports are political, religion is political, Barbie is political, hell, your beer is political. Longtime Jimmy Kimmel Live writer Brian Cook said, it all needs to be funny. And I love this next thing he said. I love it so much. Pay attention. Cook said, I've never understood how a comic can ever be comfortable standing on stage while an audience just claps at something they said. You've got their attention. Now go write a joke. That's your job. Amen on the clapter. So many specials now have the clapter. Ben Glebe steers his comedy towards politics more than most, and he says, the way I've found it to be most effective while saying something political in my stand-up is to frame it in a way that comes from a humanistic place. Try to find common ground in the setup of the joke, then make your point as cleverly and irrefutably as you can once you have people on board, so it's very hard to deny the logic. Every now and then, you'll hear me refer to the Mac Pack. So what's the Mac Pack? This is a joke that kind of started when I worked at Sirius, and I had just like the biggest man crush on Michael Chiklis, still kind of do. So the Mac Pack would be, if I were a celebrity, the other celebrities I would hang out with, and we would all just be cool together. You know what I'm saying? It's like the Rat Pack, minus those guys plus me and the list I'm going to tell you. So the Mac Pack includes Michael Chiklis, Tom Cavanaugh, because I used to love the show Ed. Remember Ed? They don't show it anywhere. Music rights, it's tied up. There are no DVs, nothing. But Tom Cavanaugh's in the Mac Pack. Keegan-Michael Key. I've told the story a few times. He did me a real solid in the last day of Sirius. I'll tell that story again some other day. Andy Samberg, he's in the Mac Pack. Jeff Goldblum. And Henry Winkler, who, by the way, has a new book, which is what I'm talking about, the Mac Pack. Being Henry, The Fonz and Beyond by Henry Winkler. This will be out October 31st. The description, the guy who played one of the coolest characters ever on screen is also known as one of the nicest ever off it. So how exactly did the mild-mannered Henry Winkler transform himself into the Fonz? Henry takes us inside his original Happy Days audition as part of a memoir that goes through his entire career from the Lords of Flatbush through Barry. And yes, he explains why he jumped the shark. Nathan Habib will record his second special tonight at the New York Comedy Club. Nathan brings a friendly personality on stage while delivering a confidently vulnerable attitude, quick banter, and tightly written bits. And Variety has their list of the 25 comedians you should know. Rob Mr. Comedy Hayes. Told Votra, I used to write what I thought people wanted to hear about. I notice a lot of comics have an idea of what an audience wants. I no longer care what they want. I want to talk about what I want. The fun and the challenge of performing is being able to talk about whatever and make it fun and enjoyable. There are times when everyone's in agreement, and there are times when the room is divided. I get to dictate the chemistry in real time. Tell us about your worst show. He said, unfortunately, this story is more recent than I'd like. I was hired to do a wedding anniversary party / retirement party. Already, that's a lot going on. The party was nice and elegant, but the program took hours. People drank and ate, and there were speeches from friends and family. Now it's getting tough. The man of the hour grabs the mic, and he's like, now let's party. He dances. The DJ plays music. Then a lady stops the music and says, but before we do all that, we have a comedian. Come on, Mr. Comedy Man. She refers to me as Mr. Comedy Man. I made fun of how absurd it is. I talk about the weird intro, the prayer, the interpretive dance, one I should have performed. Then I try and tell a joke, and I feel a tap on my shoulder. Nothing is discreet about walking up to a performer and tapping them on the shoulder. So I was like, we all see you. What do you have to say? The DJ says that the couple would like me to wrap it up. That's brutal. But listen to this. I don't like this last thing. What are your comedy opinions? The first one I like. The second one I don't like. The first one, crowd work isn't for everyone. People are great at it. It's amazing. When people are bad at it, it sucks. All right, John, what's the one you don't like? Mr. Comedy Man says, I hate reporting on comedy. One of the worst things is people trying to quote a live show. What? Thanks for crushing my day, Mr. Comedy Man. That's your comedy news. Don't even follow the show. Screw it. This is the last episode ever.